Hello there, I hope you guys are all doing well today. We're going to do some more reading. It is a little bit late, I apologize. I've been, I've been going viral on TikTok, so I've really been trying to capitalize on that by just making as much content as I can of any variety. But today is, it's the Tuesday the 27th of January. It is currently 10:18, well past the time I should be in bed, but there we go. We're going to start reading now, and then we're going to go to bed. Post-haste, right after this. Cool, that's all good. We're going to set a timer for 20 minutes to read. Now, I've been really enjoying my 20-minute timer. I could do less, I could do 10 minutes, but I like 20 minutes, so it's my bad habits that have not allowed me to keep to that in a reasonable amount of time. But we're going to just do what we can, because, you know, this is a good habit. So we started the timer. Let's get into things. Woo! Let's go. Hope you guys are all doing exceptionally well. Again, this is something inspired to make me articulate my words better and to read better and to have reading as one of my hobbies and things that I just do every day now. I want it to be a part of my life. I know how much reading can help people. It can help people. I know how much your intellect improves by engaging with text in paper. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, we left up last time with some considerations for choosing your game engine to a project size, which platforms the engine supports, available resources, team experience, and cost. I will also apologize. My cough always comes back in the evenings when I'm here, so I think there may be probably like some stray mold somewhere in my house that I need to go hunt down, because it keeps irritating my throat whenever I'm home, so we'll see. I could also just still have like a virus or something. Anyway, we're on to choosing 3D tools. Here we go. When it comes to picking 3D tools, the two biggest factors are familiarity and price. If you're already comfortable with something, don't mess with success. Stick with what you know and save yourself some headache. I spent a large part of my career in Maya because it's what I learned in school. I'm no 3D modeler, but using Maya to model and do some animations here and there got me by. When I left the bigger companies to start my own studio, price was the biggest factor for me. I tried to step away from all subscription-based software because I was trying to be friendly to my wallet. I switched from Maya to Blender, which has been fantastic. And that's also a really important thing, is that a lot of people, when they are building their games, oftentimes don't have the funding to do it. And I mean that in like the most generous way possible, is that someone like myself, I am able to create paid content or do other things, and I'm able to use that as like a business expense for things like software, like the camera that I'm using. I was able to use the earnings of my business, my personal finance, through that business to, not my personal finance, I don't know why I said that, my business finance to finance this camera. In the same way you can finance all your subscriptions because they're required to make the work that is producing the whatever, right? So that's really interesting, but a lot of people don't have that privilege, and it does take time to build that privilege. So that's a really interesting thing about, you know, keeping away from all subscriptions like Adobe and all this other stuff that is maybe good, maybe industry standard, but also just stupidly expensive. If you're just diving into 3D or want to try something new, check out these options. Blender. Blender is free and open source, which again we covered yesterday. Open source means that the source code is shared freely and distributed freely, which means that plugins and stuff are very easily, well, not easily made, but they are very communally made. It does it all, including modeling, animation, rendering. It also has a large community to get help from. Maya. Maya is subscription based and is widely used in the industry. It can do modeling, animation, and rendering. There is also a large community to get help from. I've never actually heard of Maya before, so I will have a look at that in a second. ZBrush, that's one I have paid for. Not paid for, I have heard of before. ZBrush is paid and is used for sculpting. ZBrush is also widely used in the industry and has a community associated with it. Nomad Sculpt. Nomad Sculpt is a paid sculpting and painting tool built for mobile. So I want to just have a look at what Maya is. M-A-Y-A. Maya. Is it Maya Autodesk? It must be. Okay, interesting. Whew. I mean, it is, like, we get an annual subscription of £153. It's quite interesting. Woo! Pardon me. I'm so sorry about this cough. It is really uncharacteristic of me. Then again, I don't speak this often, so maybe it's got something to do with that. Moving on. Technical stuff. I think it's the first time we've seen a technical stuff. Reminder. If you're used to using Maya for 3D modeling and looking to convert to something more cost effective, Blender has settings to change the key mapping to be industry compatible. So you'll be able to use something similar to Maya. I honestly think that if you can, starting with Blender is probably the best way to go, simply because it allows you to remain in a free ecosystem. But that's also the words of someone who has no idea what they're talking about. Choosing 2D tools. I use the same consideration for 3D as I do for 2D tools. Familiarity and price. As I said before, if you already know the tool inside and out, stick with it. And if not, or you want to try something new, here are some options that won't break the bank. Procreate, my tool of choice for iPad, perfect for iPad users who want smooth, intuitive drawing experience, who want a smooth, intuitive drawing experience. It's affordable and a one-time fee, and it's everything you need to create art on the go. Figma. This isn't a tool for art per se, but I use it a lot for user interfaces and mockups. Known for UI/UX design. I'm not sure what UX stands for. User interface and user experience? Must be user experience design. Figma is great for creating mockups, wireframes, and flowcharts. Its live collaboration features make it a favorite for team projects. Holy fuck. Really sorry this is so insensitive, guys. I'd love to just be reading and talking with you, but holy moly. Affinity Designer. A budget-friendly alternative to Illustrator. Affinity Designer is great for vector, art, and design work, with a one-time payment instead of a subscription. Aspirite. For all things pixel art, Aspirite is the go-to tool. It's affordable, lightweight, and great for animating sprites. Photopea. Photopea is a web-based free alternative to Photoshop. GIMP. GIMP is ideal for everything, from artwork to textures to UI design. It may not be the industry standard for digital art and design, but it's a whole lot cheaper. Brackets, it's free. Oh, it's free, just free. Tip, when you're making a game, you'll probably use some combination of these tools to make the user interface, sprites, logos, or painted artwork. Try a combination of a few to figure out your preferred workflow. Here's a sneak peek at my workflow when it comes to making 2D games so that you can see how I use these tools. I use Procreate to make icons, buttons, and sprites, which are 2D images used for making images, effects. I use Procreate to make icons, buttons, and sprites, which are 2D images used for making images, effects, and animations in games. Icons, buttons, sprites used for making images, effects, and animations. I'm not sure why that threw me so much. I thought they said the same thing twice. My bad. They gave an articulation and then they give the example. Or the example and the articulation, whichever one you say. 2. I then import the artwork I made in Procreate. Fucking hell. I'm getting my words caught in my... Never have I ever had my words caught in my throat before. That's so weird. 2. I then import the artwork I made in Procreate into Figma. And Figma was the UI UX design one, okay. In Figma, I lay out screens and integrate the artwork into the UI. I also organize all my icons, see figure 3.5, and imported items in Figma, so that I can share it with my collaborators and keep the artwork organized and standardized in formatting. When I feel good about the artwork in Figma, I export all the assets and import them into Unity for integration in the game. We've just got a figure that's a breakdown of all the icons. Becoming familiar with user-generated content platforms. User-generated content, UGC, platforms like Roblox, Minecraft, and Meta Horizon Worlds are perfect for experimenting and testing ideas without having to build everything from scratch. UGC platforms are great for experimenting without building from scratch because they require less marketing efforts on your part. The platform already has a community of players and a discovery system for content. Warning, actually, this is a warning. UGC platforms are great for easy entry, but you don't own the content as a standalone project. You can't port it to another engine or platform. If that platform ever shuts down, you're out of luck, and you may have to rebuild everything from the ground up. That said, this is true for many engines and platforms to some degree, though some may make the transition easier than others. Okay, I'm not specifically sure what they're trying to warn about there. But they're giving the examples like Roblox, Minecraft, and whatnot. I'm surprised they didn't put Fortnite in here. But yeah, I mean, yeah, if Minecraft like stopped existing, then yeah, everything that would be a mod for Minecraft would also stop existing, or stop working, I should say. But like Minecraft's a buy game; it's not like an online game. It doesn't need to be at the very least. It's local. Same like Roblox, I guess. It's like I think that's I don't know about Meta Horizon Worlds, but Roblox is a multiplayer game, so I suppose that makes sense. But like the mods made for Minecraft or the worlds made for Roblox, wherever it may be, yeah, they're tied to the game. That makes sense. Because the game is being used almost as a design software in that case. Like someone else has designed the game, and then they've made the game, and then you are modifying the game, so you're using the game as the space to modify. So yeah, it's very. Of course, if that were to go away, then your stuff would go away too. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Not sure what they're trying to really say that doesn't just make sense there. The other really interesting thing is that I know people have made careers off of modding and things of that nature because of user-generated content. Like, I know when RLCraft first came out, it was the shit. Everyone was fucking playing it. And that did wonders, even though it's on CurseForge, which is free. I imagine it did wonders for, like, the YouTube channel of the creator because, you know, it's their fucking mod pack. So it drove a lot of traffic to them, which probably made them money, which is great. Love that for them. Tip. Many of these platforms have their own way to monetize your creations, making it relatively easy to earn money from your game. Roblox, for example, lets you sell in-game items and experiences, and Minecraft has a similar system through marketplace content. I did not know that. Huh. I don't really play that much Minecraft, but fair enough. Learning project management. Now for the most fun part of making a game. Kidding aside, managing your projects and the tasks within it is one of the most important parts of getting a game done. Every project needs to be managed, but each one may look different. It can be that you use sticky notes and Notepad on your computer, or something a little more robust like a project management software, which we did go over some project management softwares a few pages ago, if I remember correctly. Project management softwares. I want to see if I can find these again. I know I read them. I know what I'm looking for. Don't know if I'll be able to find it, but... Pardon me. Let's have a look. See if I can locate it in the chapter notes. Maybe not. There was a drop-down list of like some different things for project management. Probably within the post-production phase, I would imagine, or somewhere in there. I would wager it was within chapter 3, if I had to guess, which is like page 37. Let's just double check. Let's double check. I want to read them again if I can. It's always good to be referencing back to prior things if you can think on them, in my opinion. So. Well, I'm not seeing where I thought it would be, so that's okay. If I could have found it nicely, it didn't feel like it was that far away from where, where I was reading, but maybe it is, I suppose. Alas, we move on. Managing a project may not be the most glamorous part of development, but good project management keeps you dedicated to the project and thus dedicated to the project and ensures that your game gets done. Knowing that every project needs to be managed. No matter the size of your project, some level of management is always needed. Whether you're keeping track of tasks on sticky notes, using a sophisticated project management software, having a system in place is essential. The key is to find what works best for your team and project scale. I'm going to share a secret with you. I really don't like project management. It takes me away from working on the creative bits of my project, which I find to be the most fun. I spend time on project management because I know it's for the good of the project and helps me keep momentum when I'm feeling lazy or unmotivated. Once all my tasks are laid out for me, it's easy to see what I need to do next. For smaller projects on which it's only myself and maybe one other person working on a game, I like to keep it simple. I make a high-level plan with milestones and then keep a document with tasks. For any teams involving more than 2 people, I often use a project tracking software like Trello. There it is. There's one of the ones that they mentioned, Trello. That's what I was looking for. There was a list of them, and I know Trello was one of them. This way, we can see each other's tasks and where everyone is in the project. Tip: when tackling a project, break out tasks into smaller chunks. This will make the workload feel more manageable, and it will give you a little boost every time you mark something complete. This approach helps keep your momentum going, especially when you're lacking motivation or feeling overwhelmed. Now, really interesting point on motivation here is that when you want to decide to do something, you need to abandon motivation and develop persistence. This is a really interesting thing. Fortunately, for like something like this habit that I've been cultivating, there hasn't been any friction. There's been like maybe 2 days since I started where I've not been able to record. One of them was because it got super late because I was enjoying some time with my friends. Completely understandable. I made up for it. But there's been no friction with integrating this into what I currently had. There will, however, if I chose to do game design, that would introduce friction into my current way I operate. I would have to sacrifice something that would be a personal experience of mine. So for instance, that could be downtime in the evening, it could be time in the gym, it could be sleep, it could be any of those things. Because when I have my day, I wake up, I have my work, I have my gym, I have the time between going to the gym, eating food, and then I have the time after eating food where I am doing whatever until I go to bed. This is part of that time. And so when you want to do something, especially if it's something new, you need to understand the opportunity cost of that. I can't have it eat into my time at work because I'm at work. So it has to eat into something else. And that would mean it would have to go into the slot where I would normally be relaxing. And that's part of the really difficult thing with developing yourself and building your own business and cultivating the life that you want, is that when they say you have to do it tired, like you're not always going to feel fresh and like, oh yeah, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do all of this today. Sorry, I know we're not reading, I know we're talking right now. But that is where it's important. The reason why you have to do it tired is because you don't get to do it fresh. You don't get to do it fresh. If you want to do it fresh, you have to sacrifice much more from your life. I'd have to sacrifice from, after I finish work, I'd then have to not go to the gym, which would throw off everything because, I train to be big and strong and to be healthy, and that would affect my energy levels and all this other stuff. So it's really important that when you make the choice to do something, that you show up for it. I know that's a really easy way of saying it, but forget showing up for it. When you make the choice to do something, you need to do it. You need to find where it fits, if it fits. And then you need to make the real decision of, should I compromise on something else so that I can make this work, so that I can then make the thing which I'd rather compromise, like my work time, can I then, cut back on how much that time there is in my day so I can do this other stuff again? And that's part of the balance, That's part of the balance. Of course, speaking from the infinite privilege of someone who, was able to afford their own place to live and all that kind of stuff. So I really want to make stress that I know that's a luxury. I know I'm talking about suffering here, but I know it's a luxury. Because the ability to choose is a privilege. It's not just a right. Okay, back to... For smaller projects on which it's only myself and maybe one other person working on the game, I like to keep it simple. I make a high-level plan with milestones and then keep a document with tasks. For any teams involving more than 2 people, I often use a project tracking software like Trello. This way we can see each other's tasks and where everyone is in the project. That's where we were last time. Tip: when tackling a project, break out the tasks into smaller chunks. This will make the workload feel more manageable and give you a little boost every time you mark something as complete. I do agree with that. This approach helps you keep momentum going, especially when you're lacking motivation or feeling overwhelmed. And that is the time. I know I ranted for a lot longer than I read today, so I do apologize about that. I would love your feedback if you prefer me just reading or you prefer me thinking and articulating myself. I'm someone who likes to think and articulate myself because it all makes sense to me, and this is something I want to break down. But like that piece there, I know it. But I feel like I wanted to bring you some value there. I wanted to articulate that to you. So I hope that's okay. If it's not, just let me know. I'm completely fine with shutting the fuck up and just reading. At the end of the day, I may just be a pretty face or a nice voice in the backside of your monitor. I don't have to be giving you a lecture. But I do like giving people a lecture. So anyway, that's where we're going to end it. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to head off to bed now. Stay well and stay safe. I'm going to keep trying to recover my throat eventually. When we're at video 40, whatever it may be. Hopefully this will be working back as normal. In any case, stay well and stay safe. Look after yourself. Fuck ICE. Fuck Trump. Fuck AI. Especially generative AI. All that can fucking die. Anyway, love you and good night.